Time at the $250,000 buy-in tournament at the Aussie Millions. One of these players will get nothing. What a lineup we have. You really can't imagine there's a better game of poker going on anywhere in the world. Hansen, Antonius, Negreanu, Ivey. Phil Ivey, 71,000 a call. Has Hansen dominated. Here comes the flop. Middle pair for Phil Ivey. A gut shot draw for Hansen. He'd need the 10. Although that itself would open up some opportunities for Phil Ivey. As it is, the 5 is a blank. Ivey still leads. 2 flush draws out there. He checks. Hansen sticks a chunky bet in there. Ivey, second pair. No reads from that face. But Ivey seems to have picked something up. Says he's asking Hansen for a count. And he does make the raise. He wants to put Gus all in. There's really no way Gus can call that. So another master stroke from the man widely regarded as the best poker player ever. Gus, the happiest man ever to lose a lot of chips. It is going to be gutting, even though these players have lost and then made again millions in their careers. Bubbling here would hurt. 800,000 for third place, nothing for fourth place. Plus you've got to fancy there are some bragging rights here. They've known each other for years, they've played together for years. It's almost like a home game. Patrick Antonius has made the flush. Phil Ivey has second pair. This is one home game I wouldn't want to walk into. Ivey is walking into trouble here. He's cooled with the queen. How much will Antonius invest? 80,000. That does have the look of a value bet, but these guys are playing meta poker. All the normal signals and indications go haywire at this level. They're operating at the absolute peak of poker. And Antonius does get his reward. Shows the golf bag full of clubs and drags in an extra 80,000 with that last bet. Left. The minimum they can go home with is 800,000 Aussie dollars. Now, for many tournaments, that would be first prize. Here is third prize. And actually, the buy-in for this tournament, $250,000. That wouldn't be a shabby first prize in most tournaments. But with this particular lineup, you fancy that it's about more than just the money. Ivey, Hansen, Antonius. It's more about climbing up the all-time money list, adding yet another trophy to the cabinet, and also being able to rib each other. Hansen has top pair, Ivey has bottom two pairs. Dangerous for Gus. Could these pots build quick? And Phil Ivey says all in. All in and call from Gus. Now Gus, he's in peril here. Hates what he sees. Needs to hit a king or an 8. Running clubs would also help him. And that is a full house for Phil Ivey. Just a king now. No dice. And there it is. Gus Hansen beaten by quite a Gus Hansen looking hand. Jack 4. So this ain't going to last too long. Tighten your seatbelts. We are heads up. Mine's at 30 and 60,000. The champagne already on the table. Antonius raises with a genuine hand. Heads up, any two cards are playable. Even 4 deuce off suit. And Ivey makes the call. The flop gives him a gut shot straight draw and a club draw, albeit a dismal one. It gives Patrick Antonius top 2. So impassive. The big Scandinavian lets his hands do the talking. 150,000. Difference between first place and second place is $800,000. Ivey raises now. An all in is not an impossibility here. We saw fourth and third place go very quickly. This could be a short heads up. All in, and really hard for Ivey to call here. It's such a low club draw, and he does fold. So it is first blood to Patrick Antonius. The trophy glistening on the table, and Patrick Antonius will be pretty happy to see a suited ace on the button. These pots build fast. Ivey also has a pretty decent hand. He makes the call. Ivey makes top pair. Antonius pretty much missed, but check may lure him into investing if Ivey bets. Check again. And that is a pair of 8s for Antonius. So little action beforehand. He might be excused for making this call. That's how it pans out, and Ivey will turn over the cowboy and get a few of his chips back from that previous hand. They are friends, but you wouldn't know it from the way they're eyeballing each other over the felt. Queen 8 on the button. It's a raising hand. And Ivey happy to call with the connectors. Two clubs on the table. Phil Ivey the only one with a club. Nobody really got anything there. And that hasn't changed the picture a great deal. Antonius still healthily in front. We will go to a river card. So nobody's connected with this board. It goes check, and Antonius will find that his queen is good. No real damage there though to Phil Ivey. Approaching the 10-hour mark. These guys earning their corn. 10 hours of pressure, knowing that you've invested $250,000. Ace 4 against King Jack. We could see a raise here from Ivey. Instead, he satisfies himself with a call. Something for everybody there. Jacks for Antonius. Aces for Ivey. He checks back at the Scandinavian. Who obligingly shoves in 125,000. Which Ivey matches. The deuce looks pretty blank to both players. Ivey gives Antonius another chance to invest, but he declines the responsibility, and Ivey's hand improves on the river, 2 pairs. This time he may bet.
300.
And it is 300,000. Antonius doubts him. He ain't going to be happy because Ivey does have a made hand here. Ace 4s. $100,000 in the middle with blinds and antes before we even start. And Antonius enriches the booty in the middle. He will find a customer, I fancy. Phil Ivey with a suited King Jack in spades. Ivey noticeably has the bigger chip stack now, and that's a pretty perfect flop for King Jack. Smallish, tempting bet into the middle. Antonius raises. He'll be trying to find out exactly where he is. Has given himself an escape route if Ivey does come over the top. And it is a smallish re-raise. Antonius, remember, has hit absolutely nothing, and he's just playing on his instincts about Phil Ivey, a man he knows just about as well as anyone. So they've both invested a healthy chunk into this pot. Antonius whiffs again. He's now drawing dead. This time Ivey shows what to a normal human being would be seen as weakness, but at this level of poker is pregnant with meaning. How will Antonius interpret it? Another small, sneaky looking bet, but this pot over $1 million now. Phil Ivey shoves all in. Antonius, you've got to say he can't call, but and that's how it pans out. So Phil Ivey winning a huge one there. No conversation, almost no emotion on the table while that played out, but it was a huge pot, and may go some way to determining which of these players earns that $2 million first prize here at the Aussie Millions. Patrick's found a king, he's all in. Phil Ivey will not hesitate obviously to call, and the cards turn over. Antonius is in trouble. He'll need to spike a king and dodge an ace. Well, as it is, he's picked up a 3, so he does go in front. Ooh, but there's the queen now for Phil Ivey. So Antonius drawing thin, 3 or a king. And it is neither, so we have a winner. $2 million richer, as if he needed it. It is Phil Ivey.